welcome to the ESPC show, and it's Paul and it's
Megan, and we are in St Andrews.
in a pod.
In a pod on the roof of the Old Course Hotel in St Andrews. So this is probably our most luxurious recording environment we've been in.
I think so, yeah, absolutely. And here we are, the birthplace of golf, the university town established 1413. Wow. And it's a market which has been ever popular and probably increasingly popular in the last couple of years. We were just looking at the average sales price. Pretty chunky.
Yeah, 419,000. I'm just checking Paul's notes just now. 419,000 is the average selling price here, and a very popular and very lovely town. It's got interest from both university students, as you mentioned, university, and overseas buyers who would like to be close to the golf course, which is obviously where we're located just now. So we just wanted to give a big thank you to the Old Course Hotel also for letting us come and record in this pod. But without further ado, we'll let you listen to our conversation.
We have Lynsey and Douglas from Thornton Solicitor Estate Agents, and they're here to talk all about the local market. So without further ado, as Megan says, here we go. Hello and welcome to the ESPC Property Show. And today we have Lynsey, property manager from Thornton's, and we've got Douglas, partner of Thornton's as well. And we're here to talk about the St Andrews property market. So shall we dive right in?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things that we wanted to kind of pick your brains about was what makes St Andrews such a unique and attractive place to live compared to other towns in Scotland.
And we have all day, because there's lots, isn't there?
There certainly is lots. Well, you've got the town centre itself, the medieval historic town centre. You have the beaches, you have the sort of wider network as well.
Can't forget the golf.
The golf, no.
The golf is
I know, just behind us as well.
Just behind us, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think it's a combination of things, and then a world famous university. So it's a pretty unique combination of factors, really.
Yeah, and it's definitely a destination, tourist destination, no question. Golfing tourism is a big thing in Scotland. When we came into the hotel reception earlier, it was full of people carrying golf clubs, wasn't it?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So if we could just then sort of drill down a little bit, so what types of properties are the most in demand in St Andrews, and why those type of properties?
I think certainly town centre properties are always popular, with the university every year increasing the number of students. It was just over 10,000 this academic year. So students need to find somewhere to live, and they want to be right in the town centre. So
and actually on that, we were talking about HMOs just before we started this podcast. Really, what's the situation with HMOs? Because clearly for students, the multiple occupancy, I can never say those words. So there's a limit on those at the moment, is there?
There is.
Yes. So a number of years ago, the Fife Council, the licensing body, introduced a ban on the granting of any more HMO licences in the old medieval town centre. So essentially North Street, Market Street, Square, and South Street. Mm-hmm. And that's been it's been very strictly applied. A number of existing HMOs were, if you like, I think the expression they used were grandmothered or grandfathered in, and essentially if you could show that you've been using it as an HMO for up to 10 years beforehand, then you didn't specifically require the necessary planning permission for that type of use. But it's certainly something worth bearing in mind. You can't assume that, in fact, you will not get an HMO licence or planning permission for a property that doesn't already have that.
Sure. So HMOs are popular as and where you can get them.
Yeah, and that's why 2 beds are so popular as well, because you don't need a HMO licence.
And I think what we've seen is that since that's been introduced, where it's been possible and economic, some owner landlords have actually subdivided units.
Uh-huh.
And so there's now a shortage. There's fewer larger
you don't
flats
see as many
in the town centre.
And so they'll be split into two bedroom flats as opposed to one 4-bedroom.
So within that student market, I would say 2 to 3 bedrooms are the most popular.
Yes, absolutely.
And also some single bedrooms. But obviously a lot of students, I believe, it's been a long time since I've been at university, like particularly their second year when they come out of halls to go into a bigger fun flat.
Yes.
And that's been more difficult for those reasons in recent years.
Yeah.
And are you finding that there's like a shortage of student houses for 10,000 students descending upon this?
Absolutely, they're sort of pushing out to sort of more residential areas. It's not uncommon now that sort of what was typically residential areas, you'll see the sort of odd student house with HMO there.
Okay. And the pod? There's a pod over there going spare.
So and then another thing we were chatting about was obviously the property market we've seen in Edinburgh has changed quite significantly over the last 5 years, but how has it been up here? How have you noticed that what's changed?
I think one change is the one we've just touched on to do with HMOs. So that's as far as that student market is concerned, which is really the town centre, although as Lynsey says, it's started to spread out. That's changed in the sense that there are more smaller units than larger units, and that seems to be the focus there. As far as the rest of the town's concerned, I mean, we're now seeing quite significant building development going on. St Andrews West developments.
Some significant numbers of
homes a year.
There's about 900 new homes going in St Andrews West.
Over
a period of time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were saying it feels a bit like what happened in North Berwick, where you have the old town and then where there's available land on the outskirts, that becomes almost like the new town.
Yeah.
I suppose that's how Edinburgh started once upon a time.
Yes. And then there's other development as well, David Wilson Homes. That's about 200 homes there as well, proving very popular.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes.
So that will certainly, I mean, there seems to be just a very continuous strong demand. People want to come and live in the area, live in the town if they can.
Yeah. International market as well?
Yes.
Oh, they're fair to say they're more focused on the town centre, the traditional part of the town.
Yeah.
But
that's the dream, isn't it?
That's the dream. To be close to the golf.
Yes. And if we're talking about specific areas of the town, maybe come on to that, I don't know, but where we are here, the Links Road, which borders the Old Course, 18th hole, the Scores, the area beyond that, which looks out over St Andrews Bay, those are almost a different market altogether. Yeah. And that is very much an international market nowadays.
Well, we've seen some of your listings, 7 figures.
Yeah.
No question.
But that's absolutely commonplace. And you find now in the more traditional, established areas of the town, Hepburn Gardens, Buchanan Gardens, again on the west side of the town, those are definitely see quite a bit of inflation.
Yes.
And certainly 7 figures for now properties in that area. So it's not now just confined to the immediate golf course area or town centre. Yeah.
So going to the other end of the spectrum, any tips for first-time buyers? Don't mean golf tips. Any tips that you would give to a first-time buyer looking to purchase in St Andrews?
Yeah, I think the sort of biggest thing for first-time buyers is the sort of larger deposit that they will need. But there is areas within St Andrews that is certainly achievable, but they will need quite a bit of a deposit and then extra because properties are going over the home report valuation. So you need that little bit extra as well.
Premium.
Quite often.
Yeah.
Had to pay premium.
Where would you be for a sort of one-bedroom flat then in St Andrews? Roughly how much would you be paying?
Roughly about 200,000 roughly.
Yeah.
Just
As
yes.
the
entry
lowest
level.
end, if you like, that's the
Sure.
like entry.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be in the town centre.
No. That would be on this
On
sort
the
of
periphery.
yeah.
So we've mentioned there how the market's been. What would be your outlook for the rest of the year then and beyond for the market?
I think a positive outlook. The year's got off to a great start. It's been very popular. There's been a lot of good sales. We've seen a lot of closing dates, a lot of strong demand, and I can only see that continuing. I'm still going out valuing houses, and there's still things coming on the market. So
Okay.
I think it's all looking positive.
Does it feel a more balanced market this year than maybe previous years, where there's a little bit more balance between buyer and sellers? The premiums a little bit less than they would have been.
The premiums are slightly less, but that said, if it's your sort of very unique properties that don't come up very often, that's when you're still seeing
Big.
the big premiums being paid. But sort of more everyday properties, they're more achievable for people in terms of not being outbidded.
Sure.
I think the supply's maybe been a little bit better.
The supplies,
which obviously always helps to ease
the pressure.
Which I think I personally think the market needed that a little bit.
It did, because
it was just getting
too tight.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was gridlock. Everyone was waiting for somebody else, weren't they? Waiting for that property to come on, so they sell theirs, and we were ending up with these almost like these convoluted chains, which generally we don't have in Scotland.
I mean, if you want to talk about that, I've been doing this for a few years, and this year, the last 12 months, I would say, that I've really become very conscious of chains, which we really didn't have to any great extent in Scotland before, and it's because sellers are prepared to accept offers that are subject to selling another property, and then that's you then get into that situation where it's all dependent.
Yeah. We talk about in every podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, every time we speak to any of our solicitor estate agents, they say the same thing just now. I think it's quite universal across all the regions. We're noticing that.
You might interpret it as a slight softening of the market, and the fact that sellers are prepared to consider it, because certainly until very recently, most selling clients would prefer to accept an offer that was not subject to that.
Yeah, I think that's it. And but we do know the English model, I mean, it's 25% of sales fall through, whereas in Scotland, with the SBC's figures, it's been 7%. I do think solicitor agents nurture the sale better because the agent and the solicitor. So clearly, I think there's a more of a safety net there. But I think partially is also down to change. And as you say, if people can't sell a house in that period of time they're given, property goes back on the market. That's a sale falling through it, if you like, and so we go again. So, yeah, I mean, we'll give you the opportunity to say it because we always do with every firm. I guess what you would say is sell first and then look to buy.
That's the best way, but we know it's not always possible.
Easy for us all to say.
Easy for us all to say, but when it's you and your family trying to
no,
move
I did,
on,
must say.
But
I do think, speaking as the lawyer, if you like, it is really important if you do accept an offer on that basis that you keep tabs on your buyer and their situation, and have good communication.
Indeed.
And just have time frames to just keep everything sort of moving along, so it's not open ended.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's considering moving to St Andrews from elsewhere in the UK or from abroad? If we've mentioned that we have that overseas buyers market, what advice would you give to anyone who's thinking, I would like to live closer to the golf course?
This is going to sound a bit self-serving, but I would suggest that it's a good idea for them to speak to local property professionals who know the local market. Yeah. It's actually quite a straightforward market in many ways. It's not a big town.
But the earlier they speak to you, the better.
I know how that sounds, but I really, it really helps people to understand how the town works. Yeah. And, it's good to give them general advice. We touched on the HMO licence issue. We also have short-term holiday letting licensing now as well. And there are nuances around St Andrews as compared to, say, Dundee or Edinburgh or Glasgow. And it certainly pays to speak to somebody who's got a good knowledge and understanding of the local market.
Yeah, okay. Wouldn't disagree. And then, so on this one, again, local expertise coming into play here. Hidden gems, lesser known areas of St Andrews where people might find a great opportunity.
Yeah, we were discussing this. We thought, the harbour often gets forgotten about.
Right. Why is that, do you think?
I think everybody focuses on the golf and the beaches and forgets the town centre.
Forget that there is actually a
harbour.
We should go to the harbour.
Yes. And all the lanes really off the sort of main streets in the town centre. You just have to wander around and think, gosh, there's a house in here.
Particularly the Westport end of South Street. There's some lovely hidden gems down those lanes, and not just. I mean, they're medieval properties. They go back 15 100, 1600. but some of them have absolutely gorgeous gardens, almost cottage.
You just wouldn't know.
No,
You just
you
would
wouldn't
not
even know
know
they were
unless
there.
you went down and explored. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's
yeah.
worth a trip.
Yeah, I know it's lovely. I've been to St Andrews quite a few times, and it's just lovely to walk around and you have a bit of a nosy around all the little streets and things. So, yeah, no, absolutely. And in terms of things in the community, if people are looking to move here, what is the community like in St Andrews?
Well, I live in the town. I think for a small town, it gets some amazing culture. So you'll get the Scottish Chamber Orchestra coming through here. There's a very successful Toppings bookshop, which you have in Edinburgh. They have book events virtually all the time, and some really leading authors, various, constantly in the town. You have things like the Dunhill Golf, which occurs every year in September, and if you want to go stargazing, that's your opportunity, because there's all sorts of celebs that attend that. So that's quite an exciting time of year. You can always tell the time of year in St Andrews just by what you hear around you. You could even have your eyes shut, and so the RNA, for instance, have their spring meeting and autumn meetings, and that's just happens every year, and it brings in a whole number of different people, and again, very often international. And then there's the events that occur around the student life at the university, and which are world renowned, the foam fight and the quad and all that sort of thing. So there's loads of things like that going on. But in terms of local culture, there's some very strong. I mean, obviously there's the golf club network. There are, I'll get into trouble because I'll get this wrong, but I think there must be at least 5 golf clubs around Lings. And then quite apart from that, you've got what you would expect, amateur Amdram societies. We have the Bar Theatre, which is now actually run by the university. I could go on all day, couldn't I? So we're very fortunate. It punches way above its weight.
Yeah. And it's a place where, as you say, people still live and work. It's not that everything's holiday homes.
No, not at all.
No.
There
There is very much.
It's still very vibrant.
Yeah, there's
very popular for families. A lot of people want to live in St Andrews. I've got young families as well.
Yeah. Good. And the university is very integrated in the town. You sometimes you hear people being talking about town and gown, slight pressures around things like accommodation, and yes, occasionally you'll get that, but the university brings an awful lot to the town, and the town itself goes back quite a bit as well, and I think there's generally a very good relationship between the two.
Good. Well, thank you very much. I think that's the podcast. That's a wrap, as they say. So, Lynsey, Douglas, thanks very much for your time. It's been really informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there you go. That's a wrap, as they say in the business.
Yes, so if you enjoyed that episode, please remember to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. And this is actually our series finale.
But we're coming back, aren't we?
We are coming back. We'll be back again after kind of the summer break, because we figured a lot of people will be going on holiday, and as much as you might want to listen to, we don't know how many people want to listen to Property Podcast on their summer holidays. So we'll be back August, September time after the Fringe is finished as well. With brand new series.
Indeed, but thanks for listening today. Hopefully you found that informative, and we spliced in some great shots of the historic town that is St Andrews. So thanks again for listening and for watching, and we will catch you real soon. Take care. Bye bye now. Bye bye.